Today is the third session of the chapter Strong Roots from Dr. Abdul Kalam's Wings of Fire. We shall conclude this prose piece by going thoroughly through the last part of this excerpt. So, we have seen in the previous two sessions that Dr. Abdul Kalam, having been born in a middle-class Tamil family in Rameshwaram, had a childhood of material as well as emotional security. His gradual upbringing was deeply rooted to Indian culture and heritage. Again, we see that he used to accompany his father to the mosque where he was convinced that his father's prayers reached God. He was a witness to the activities of a holy man in his own father. So, for your better comprehension of the previous part of this chapter that we had dealt with in session 2, certain questions can be coined like, why did Dr. Kalam think that his childhood was materially and emotionally secure? What was their custom of having food at home? How did the people in his locality live? Why did the people of different religions wait outside the mosque? And why did the people visit their home and thank Jainul-Abdin? Now, let us move on with the remaining portion of this excerpt. Let us read the chapter. The high priest of Rameshwaram temple, Pakshi Lakshmana Shastri, was a very close friend of my father's. One of the most vivid memories of my early childhood is of the two men, each in traditional attire, discussing spiritual matters. Now, from these two sentences, we find that this was something very much extraordinary. Don't you think, girls, that two persons, one a devout follower of Islam and another one a high priest of a great temple, they were very close friends and they used to, discuss about spiritual matters, and that too in traditional attire. So, then we find when I was old enough to ask questions, I asked my father about the relevance of prayer. Girls, have we ever thought of this? Have we ever questioned our elders? Or have we ever asked ourselves about this? What is prayer? Why do we pray? Or rather, why do we have to pray? And to whom do we pray? Right? My father told me there was nothing mysterious about prayer. A very simple answer said in a very simple manner. There is nothing mysterious about prayer. That means the concept of prayer is very simple. And what does he say? When you pray, he said, you transcend your body and become a part of the cosmos, which knows no division of wealth, age, caste or creed. Let us understand this. First, the meaning of the term cosmos. What is this? So the literary meaning of cosmos is the universe seen as a well-ordered whole. It's a vast space. It's a vast void beyond our reach. but we can be in it with the help of prayer. He says that when we pray, when human beings pray, when people pray, we generally lift ourselves. Transcend, we lift ourselves, our body, our soul, and become the part of the great void. And this cosmos, he says, does not know the discrimination between people with respect to wealth, age, caste, or creed. This we can understand with the help of an example. Let me give you an example for this. Suppose there are many people. At times we go to the temple, church, gurudwara, or a mosque, and people of different caste, creed, religion, wealth, they sit together in a temple or a church or a gurudwara or a mosque, and all of them, irrespective of the caste or creed or the amount of wealth that they possess, they offer their prayers to the God, to the Almighty, to the divine power, to the Omnipotent. And God is there to listen to all their prayers, all their wishes, all their needs. So, this cosmos, this divine power, this omnipotent being does not discriminate people on it with respect to their age, caste, creed, or religion or wealth. Then again he says, my father could convey complex spiritual concepts in very simple, down-to-earth Tamil. So he could he could make one understand about spiritualism in a very simple manner. Though we know that spiritualism or spiritual concepts are generally very complex matters, very trivial matters, but Jainul Abidin used to make one understand about these complex spiritual concepts in very simple manner. He once told me, in his own time, in his own place, in what he really is, and in the stage he has reached, good or bad, every human being is a specific element within the whole of the manifest divine being. Now, a person, first let us understand the meaning of the specific element, a particular part of something, a very tiny particle in the whole manifestation of divinity. Manifest divine being. What does this term mean? Manifestation of divinity. There is a supreme power. There is a power to whom all of us like to pray, because we somehow know the fact that if we pray to this supreme power, the omnipotent power, we will get that, what we desire for, what we wish for. And so, why be afraid of difficulties, sufferings, and problems? This is a fact to us all. This is a reality to all. And he wants us to, comprehend this matter very nicely. We are ordinary human beings. We suffer. We face difficulties. We face problems in our lives. Every human being has problems in their lives, right? But should we be afraid of those things? Should we be thoughtful about those things? He says, when troubles come, try to understand the relevance of your sufferings. Adversity always presents opportunities for introspection. A very befitting answer to the previous question, whether we should be afraid of difficulties, of sufferings, of pain, or troubles or not. What he says? The answer is very simple, but very much relevant, very much significant. What he says? He says that whenever we are in trouble, whenever we think that we are in trouble, we should think about what may be the cause of my suffering. Am I responsible for my suffering? Have I done something wrong for my suffering? If not, then who? Or what the incident may be the cause of my suffering? He says, adversity that means problems or troubles or difficulties, always presents opportunities for introspection. Now, introspection, the literal meaning of this term is looking at my own actions, my personality. That means judging myself or analyzing myself. That means self-analysis. So, the simple answer to the question whether we should be afraid of difficulties or not, he says, no, we should not be afraid of our difficulties or the troubles or the obstacles or the hindrances we are facing in our lives at this point of time. Because whenever we face some challenges in our lives, we should look back. We are having the opportunity to analyze myself, to introspect. For it's a time for self-analysis. Then he moves on. Why don't you say this to the people who come to you for help and advice? I asked my father. He put his hands on my shoulders and looked straight into my eyes. For quite some time he said nothing, as if he was judging my capacity to comprehend his words. This portion of this sentence is very important. My capacity to comprehend his words. He was not so mature at this age of his life that he could understand whatever his fathers was saying, because these are certain complex concepts of life that is very difficult to understand. And particularly Abdul Kalam was a child then. He could understand or not. His father was thinking about that. Then he answered in a low, deep voice. What his answer was? His answer filled me with a strange energy and enthusiasm. So you can well understand that an answer which filled him with energy and enthusiasm should be an answer that should be very significant for us also. Whenever human beings find themselves alone, as a natural reaction, they start looking for company. Beautiful enough, isn't it, girls? This is a reality for us also. Whenever we feel alone. Whenever we are distressed, whenever we are sad, whenever we are in trouble, naturally, what we desire for? We desire for a companion or a friend or somebody who would take me out of this problem, who would make me overcome my problem. He says, whenever they reach an impasse, they look to someone to show them the way out. Now let us understand the meaning of impasse. There is a very small little difference between adversity and impasse. Adversity, that I told you, is a difficulty, a problem, but an impasse is something much more than adversity. The worst case of adversity. That means a situation in which no progress is possible. You are just locked up. You do not have any control on the situation. That means a deadlock. At that point of time, they look to someone to show them the way out. And people and human beings, they do have a tendency to look for someone who will help them to overcome the distressful condition of his life. Every recurrent anguish, longing and desire finds its own special helper. And this is very right. We can see this through some examples also. Whenever a student is in distress, whenever a student finds some difficulties, teachers are there to help them out. Right? Secondly, whenever a son or a daughter faces some challenges in their lives, their parents are beside them to help them out of that situation. Right? So, whenever there is a problem that cannot be shared with the teachers and parents, there are some times in our lives whenever we have to have some friends to whom we can share our personal feelings. And those friends can bring me out of that situation. For the people who come to me in distress, I am but a go-between in their effort to propitiate demonic forces with prayers and offerings. And then he says that he plays the role of a negotiator or a mediator. The word go-between means the role of a negotiator, one who mediates a person to the divine power, to the supreme power, to the God. For what? To get what they want, to overcome the challenge of their life, and to win over the demonic forces with the help of prayers and offerings. This is not a correct approach at all and should never be followed. Now, Jainul-Abidin feels that playing the role of a negotiator or a mediator is not a correct approach at all. And this should not be followed. Why? Because he thinks one must understand the difference between a fear-ridden vision of destiny and the vision that enables us to seek the enemy of fulfillment within ourselves. Now let us understand the meaning of vision. Vision means goal. It refers to goal. It's a clear mental picture of one's destiny. What is going to happen? You can just see in front of your eyes. That is the vision. Now, there are two kinds of vision according to Jainul-Abidin. One is vision of destiny. That means, vision of destiny means here it's just like a blurred vision. It's not very clear. And the vision that enables us to seek the enemy of fulfillment within ourselves. That means, once again, that self-analysis, the concept of self-analysis. For what? For finding out the hindrance, the stumbling block for which we are not able to, overcome the suffering, for which we are not able to fulfill our desires and wishes. So, both these two visions cause fear, cause fear. But while one is caused by fear, the other one actually helps, keeps one to see something more clearly at least. The enemy of fulfillment. We have to find out within ourselves. We have to analyze ourselves to find out what is there that is holding me back from overcoming my challenge. Then the next paragraph shows us that Jainul-Abidin was not only a wise person, but he was a strict disciplinarian also. Let us find out how. I remember my father starting his day at 4 a.m. by reading the namaz before dawn. After the namaz, he used to walk down to a small coconut grove we owned, about 4 miles from our home. He would return with about a dozen coconuts tied together thrown over his shoulder, and only then would he have his breakfast. This remained his routine even when he was in late 60s. So we find, girls, that every bit of Jainul-Abidin's life can be taken as an exemplary activity. I have throughout my life tried to emulate my father. Dr. Kalam says that he tried to match or surpass typically by imitation his father in his own world of science and technology. Great father and great son. I have endeavored to understand the fundamental truths revealed to me by my father and feel convinced that there exists a divine power that can lift one up from confusion, misery, melancholy, and failure, and guide one to one's true place. Beautiful, and this is very much significant to follow in our lives also. We have to understand the fundamental truths, and if we follow such fundamental truths in our lives also, we will find our own place and we will succeed in life. We can transcend ourselves, we can lift ourselves from every coming confusion or misery or, situation that can hold us back. And once an individual severs his emotional and physical bond, he is on the road to freedom, happiness, and peace of mind. This is the message from Abdul Kalam for us, that if we do this, we can be very happy in life. We can get the ultimate joy in our life. And what is that? If we, maintain certain truths in our life, and then if one can put an end to all the emotional and physical bonding, that means the materialistic bondings of this world, if we can detach ourselves from all the materialistic bondings of this world, we can have the ultimate joy and peace of life in our lives. So I hope, girls, you have understood this chapter very nicely. This is a beautiful excerpt from Dr. Kalam's autobiography, Wings of Fire. And from this portion, certain questions can be coined, like why we should not be afraid in suffering and problems, what is not a correct approach at all according to Jainul Abidin, what two types of destiny were propagated by Kalam's father, what was Dr. Kalam's father's daily routine, and lastly, how can one find peace in life. So I hope I have been able to make you comprehend this whole chapter, Strong Roots. That's all, and thank you.